Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 166 of Crunch Time. I'm going to be your host for today's episode, and I am Tanner Dislin. And as always, I am joined by Sam Godsey, and we are the N326 duo. Samuel, tell me how you are doing, my friend.
Man, I'm doing good. Unfortunately, it's the time of the year where I don't really have a whole lot of rooting interest, but we still are getting put out episodes week in, week out. So you gotta love it.
For sure, no doubt about it. Yeah, I mean, we've said it once, we've said it a million times. We're more college basketball fans here on this podcast. So when this NBA playoff stretch starts, it's a little bit of a decline in interest from us as compared to March, the month we just came off of. So, but we'll push through. You know us, battle through adversity, absolute warriors over here. But we got a good show for you this week. Of course, we'll start with winners and losers, talk about what's going on in the sporting world, and then we will welcome on an old friend to come on and talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs. Most of the series have played one or two games, so we're going to check in on where those series stand and what to look out for. So stay tuned for that. But of course, before we get to all that, we will start with winners and losers. So, Sam, who's your winner of the week?
Yeah, my winner of the week, Tanner, is actually gonna be a matchup that I am claiming as game of the year, Tanner.
Oh,
The Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Chicago Cubs. The final score was 13-11. There were 24 runs scored in this game, two grand slams, 33 hits, 21 runs in the last two innings, and the Cubs became the first team to allow 10 runs in a single inning after the third and still win the game in 113 years. This game was absolutely box office. Bottom of the seventh, Ian Happ hits a grand slam. Everyone thinks it's over, but is just getting started. The Diamondbacks pop up in the eighth inning, 10 runs there, and then the Cubs score six to win it. But it was absolutely incredible for the guys who like a lot of runs, a lot of offense. You really didn't get it till the seventh inning, but it's fun once it started.
yeah, no doubt about it. And Sam, Kyle Tucker with the big time signature moment early in his Cubs career, the 2-run home run in the was it eighth, bottom of the
Yeah.
eighth. Yeah, really impressive stuff. The Cubs have been off to a great start. Covered that a little bit last week when we went on the diamond. Again, it feels like this division is theirs to lose. We talked about the troubles with their pitching, losing Justin Steele, and this was not an indictment. This one was not an indictment on their pitching. Not a show of support for that. Obviously, the pitching struggled, but man, the offense is good, and the Cubs should be an absolute force in that NL Central for sure. What an awesome game! All of you got to take that one in. Definitely got a treat, Sam. But for my winner, let's stay on the diamond because we got a big time call up. Someone making their MLB debut. Now, this is a big one for all the MLB The Show players out there. This guy has a card that is absolutely incredible, and he's been one of the best prospects in baseball over the past few years. His name's a little tricky though. His first name is Nicholas, and you all can imagine the shortened version of that. And his last name is Kurtz. So yeah, Nick pause Kurtz is his name. It could have some issues there, but this guy is absolutely mashing. In his minors career, he's only spent 2 years down there in the minors before being called up. He has hit a combined 336 over 122 at bats with a 432 on base, 689 slug. That is equal to a 1.121 OPS. Absolutely smashing the baseball. 11 total home runs this year. He has 7 long balls in 84 at bats in 20 games. Hitting 321, 1.04 OPS. This guy's absolutely mashing. And he plays for the Athletics, or he's in the Athletics organization now, plays for the Athletics, so he definitely have room to pull up some young talent over there. And Mr. Kurtz is absolutely smashing the baseball, so shout out to him, MLB The Show legend, making his debut, getting called up to the big leagues after absolutely raking in the minor leagues.
Yeah, it sounds like he is off to a crazy start, but yeah, I saw he got called up, and of course all the memes that came with it, and stuff.
I
So
saw something that like TV channels that are covering games are advising their announcers and their reporters to like emphasize the pause in
yeah,
between his first and last name. That's tough. That's really tough. Um, Obviously the parents like you got to be better than that. And then why don't you just go by Nicholas
yeah,
or Nikki?
that's tough.
There are so many ways to go around that, and yeah, here we are. But shout out to him. He absolutely rakes, smashes the baseball. But of course, Sam, now we have to take a look on the bad side of things. So who is your loser
Yeah,
of
this
the episode?
dude is kind of the loser of the NBA season. Of course, I'm talking about Nico Harrison. He had a recent press conference. I can't remember if this was a weird one that media wasn't allowed in, and but he made the statement that he did know that Luca was important to the fan base, but he didn't know quite to the. I didn't quite know it to what level. Reminder: Dallas has a Luka Doncic day.
I did not know that. This is the first I'm
Yes.
learning of Luka
Yeah.
Doncic Day. Do they still have a Luka Doncic Day?
I believe so. So let's just take a trip down memory lane. Obviously, it kicked off with Luka Doncic getting traded to the Lakers, didn't field any other offers. He then traded Quentin Grimes, who was averaging nearly 22 points, for Caleb Martin, who was averaging 5.4. Obviously, all the Luka trade protests by the Mavs fan. Anthony Davis getting hurt in the debut, only played 9 games with the Mavs. Fans being escorted out for the Fire Nico sign. Then Kyrie Irving tears his ACL. Kyrie and AD play 3 total quarters together. And then the Mavs decide to raise ticket prices. Derek Lively missed 46 games this season. Daniel Gafford, 25. PJ Washington, 25. Max Prosper had a season-ending injury. Luka Shed had his return, dropped 45 on the Mavs' head. Nico Harrison then doubled down on the trade, saying there's no regrets. Mavs CEO compares the trade to Monte Ellis for Andrew Bogut. Dirk Nowitzki has basically left the Mavs alone, and then the Mavs lose to the Grizzlies, who we'll talk about what happened in that first game against the Thunder in play-in 1 year after making the NBA Finals. So tough stretch for Nico Harrison and the Dallas Mavs for sure.
That's unbelievable. I didn't know how much they meant to the fans. I mean, dude, huh? What?
Yeah.
Like, does Justin Jefferson mean something to Vikings fans? Yeah. Does Joe Burrow mean something to Bengals? Josh Allen to Bills fan? Aaron Judge to Yankees? Like, what?
Yeah.
Your best player who led you to an NBA Finals a year ago, and you didn't know how much he meant to the fans, and also someone who just happens to have a day named after him. This guy's an absolute moron, man. I don't know. I got nothing. And then when former players are not only former players, but Dirk Nowitzki, a guy who played 20 years around, all for the Mavericks, he won't deal with them.
Yeah, that's tough.
This guy,
it's not a great look.
There are no words.
And then AD got hurt in the play-in. And did you see the pan straight to Nico? As AD was limping off straight to Nico. But
the thing about it, obviously, we know the jokes AD made it, but like for every time that AD is like seriously injured, there are about 4 or 5 times where he limps off the court and misses a quarter, or But yeah, no, it's really not good. Who would have thought that trade wouldn't work out for the Mavericks in the long run? Beyond me. Really tough for our boy Nico Harrison. Get a grip, man. But I have a couple losers, Sam, to talk about. One of which, again, both of mine will be on the diamond. So a little bit of a baseball centric start to the episode here. But my loser is Brian Snitker, who is the manager for the Atlanta Braves. Did you happen to hear what happened over there in Atlanta?
No.
So one of their players named Jared Kelenic, former Met actually, but he's on the Braves, and in their game a couple days ago, he hit a ball very hard to right field, and he watched it fly. The problem with that is it did not leave the ballpark, so he pimped the hell out of it. Then realized it wasn't leaving the ballpark. Turned on the jets, tried to get to second, and got thrown out at second. So it's not like he just, stayed at first and was embarrassed, but kept the base runner. No. He tried to get to second and got thrown out. He turned what should have been a double, and with his speed, probably a triple, into getting thrown out at second. Now, there was not a peep from the Braves bench. He stayed in, played the rest of the game. The comments afterward were less than punitive. There was a tweet showing Brian Snitker's comments about the issue. And Ronald Acuna Jr. Have you ever heard of Ronald Acuna Jr.? Yeah, that's a pretty damn big name in baseball. He responded, yes, his actual account responded and said, if it was me, they would have taken me out. Well, we'll check the tapes. This did happen to him, and he did get taken out.
Nice.
Now, we continue down. I don't know what it is with Braves and pimping home runs that aren't home runs, but Marcell Ozuna did the same thing. And before that, a player who's no longer with the team, no longer in baseball, Ender Inciarte is his name. He did the same thing. So 3 people all pimped home runs that were not home runs, all of which did not lead to doubles. I don't know if all of them got thrown out, but they were still obviously should have been doubles and triples that were not. The 3 I just mentioned, Acuna, Ozuna, and Ciarte, were all benched. Jared Kelenic was not. Now, obviously, you can tell by the names, Acuna, Ozuna, and Inciarte all look a certain way, and Kelenic also looks a certain way. So a lot of race claims. I don't know. Again, I can't comment on that, and nor will I. But the fact of the matter is, 3 of your former players of Latin descent all did that and got benched, and then Jared Kelenic of American descent did that and did not get benched. And the fact that different players are being treated differently, again, who knows why? I don't know. I can't comment on that. It's a really bad look. And then he claimed that he didn't see it and he didn't know what happened, which is like, no one looks good in this situation. The manager doesn't look good. The player obviously doesn't look good. The organization doesn't look good. I don't know how there's not if he actually didn't see it, if someone's like, hey, we gotta make an example out of this. Who knows? But looks like players are being treated differently over in Atlanta, and the star player, Ronald Acuna Jr., is not happy about it.
Yeah, that's not a good look for the Braves, man.
No, not at all. And not to mention, as we covered last week when we went on the Diamond, the Braves have gotten off to a terrible start this year and are in last place in the National League East, a team that features the Miami Marlins, who will be one of the worst teams in baseball for sure. But real tough look for the Atlanta Braves. And now, Sam, my second loser of the episode, it's got to be official scorekeeping. Did you happen to see this story?
No.
So Yankees pitcher and former Braves pitcher Max Fried on Sunday, he had himself a day. He was working through 7 no-hit innings. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a hit showed up on the scoreboard. The official scorekeeper looked back at a play that happened multiple innings earlier that was originally scored an error and went back and ruled it a hit, effectively ending the no-hitter.
Tough.
Now, shortly thereafter, after the change, he did give up a legitimate hit. Obviously, there's probably something mental when you see your no-hitter evaporate from something that was changed. But the fact of the matter, 7 no-hit innings, pushing for, I mean, it was a great outing nonetheless, but pushing for a no-hitter, and it was ended by a retroactive changing of a score, of a ruling decision is absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah, that's not great. Not great at all.
Yeah, officially he went 7 2/3 no hit of no hit ball when it was against the Rays, of no hit ball when that happened. So that's really tough. And also what could be a third loser was in that same game, Aaron Judge hit a ball that was clearly a home run. Of course, the Rays are playing in a minor league ballpark because their ballpark got torn apart by the hurricane. The foul poles at Steinbrenner Field where they're playing are 30 feet tall. The foul poles at Yankee Stadium are 90 feet tall. So that's just a comparison.
Jeez.
Much smaller.
Yeah.
And it's kind of tough to see fair or foul. It was clearly a home run. The umps called it foul for no reason. And then they went to replay, and that's what the part that gets frustrating. Again, the on-field umpires, everything's happening so fast. I get it. Then they go to replay, and they still call it foul. Is beyond me. But a couple of rough stories going on the baseball field, Sam.
Yeah, sounds like it, man. Not great look.
Not a great look for sure. But I think we should talk some ball. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so I teased this earlier. We're welcoming on an old friend. That's right. Former co-host of the pod, Keegan Turnbough, is hopping on to talk about some NBA playoffs. So we'll kick it to that right now. Okay, now we welcome on a very special guest, of course, an old friend, Mr. Keegan Turnbough, here to talk some NBA playoffs. Keegan, how are you, my friend? How does it feel to be back on the Crunch Time airwaves?
Hey, it feels good. Thanks for having me back on. We've had a pretty good NBA playoffs start here. Well, it's been very polarizing, I guess. The games are either bangers or they're absolute blowouts. So I've been enjoying a lot of ball recently. I don't know about you guys, but that's pretty much what I've been doing with all my free time is just watching ball. That's what we do.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get into the playoffs here. I'm thinking we go series by series. We'll start out west, and let's start at the top of the bracket. Let's get this one out of the way here. Grizzlies Thunder. Thunder currently have a 1-0.
Beltas. That's all we got to say, really.
They have a 1-0 series lead. Game 1, they went belt to ass. Now, game 2, it seems like we might follow a similar trend, but I'm not quite sure where we go with analysis on this one, Keegan. So I'm just going to throw it to you.
One team good, other team bad. That's about all you need. I was hoping that there was a chance that we might see Jav old, but when there's so much talent for Oklahoma City, there's so much that they do well on the defensive end and that's what we saw in game 1 was the way that Oklahoma City flies to the ball from their best player from Shea all the way to guy number 8, 9, 10 on this roster, the way they can lock you up. The Grizzlies just don't have any chance. Desmond Bane's your second best player. He'd be the 4th best player on the Thunder, maybe. But yeah, if it's anything but Thunder and 4, I'd be shocked.
Yeah,
same over here. I love this. I mean, we just said belt to ass. To throw specifics to that belt to ass, game 1, a 51-point victory for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And Keegan, you mentioned Desmond Bane being your second best player. Well, Desmond Bane had a negative 51 plus minus in game 1. That doesn't sound like a recipe for success. I don't know about you guys.
That's the worst plus minus in a playoff game in the play-by-play era. So
in the play.
So obviously this Thunder team is extremely young, but the way game 1 went with Shane not even playing his best ball, that's if you're a Thunder fan, you got to be ecstatic of how this team has looked so far in this short amount of time.
I wonder how early it was in that game where Shea's like, it might not have necessarily been that he didn't have an MVP caliber game compared to the rest of the season that he's had. But was it 5 minutes of the game? It was like, let's put the brakes
early on.
He only played 23 minutes. Like he hardly played at all in the second half. But yeah, if you told me coming into that game that Aaron Wiggins was the Thunder's leading scorer, I wouldn't have been sure what to think. Not to mention a 51-point win.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's hard not to draw the parallels to last year. Obviously, the number 1 seed last year as well. We all were like, this might be a year too early for the young Thunder, obviously, in the conference semifinals running into the Mavericks and getting taken down by them. Got to feel like that was a learning opportunity for this team. Granted, we're only a game and less than a quarter in to a team that also took care of business last year in the first round, but it just feels different to me with this Thunder team.
Yeah, I mean, top to bottom, you got more playoff experience. You got that first run in, and not to take over hosting roles at all. The team that I think you're talking about when we're looking at last year's Oklahoma City Thunder, that's this year's Houston Rockets. To me, this was a team that came out of nowhere. I had no idea they were going to end up being as good as they are. But when it comes to playoff experience, we can get back to the Thunder if you guys had any other thoughts on that series. But of all the teams to go up against when you have this breakout year, to go up against a guy in Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy, known to step up another role, and he's Robin. That guy is Robin to Steph Curry's Batman. You got to go up against that. I feel bad. I feel bad for the Rockets this year. And I couldn't help but throw out the parallel there between OKC and Houston.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to go to the Eastern Conference as well, obviously a team that I've watched play a fair amount this postseason, I think I could draw that parallel to Detroit as well. Another team that has loads of young talent, first getting a taste in the playoffs, and frankly, should be up 2-0 if they didn't collapse in game one. But we'll get to all that later. I guess, yeah, I mean, I was thinking of going, in order, but I like to segue into the Rockets and Warriors because I do kind of want to save the Nuggets Clippers. So far, 2 absolute bangers, and you may have that one may be near and dear to your heart. Let's just say that. But we'll go to that Warriors Rockets series. Keegan, I know you had mentioned it's a tough draw for a young team in that 2 slot. And just not to mention, it's also an organizational killer for the Rockets. The Warriors have a 1-0 lead in that series. Game 2 is coming on Wednesday night, so you will know the results of that game by the time this airs. But talk to me about this series a little bit, other than the young Rockets getting their first taste of the playoffs.
If you like the 90s and 2000 styles basketball, this is the series for you, which is weird to say about the Golden State Warriors, because when we think about that franchise, we think about Clay and Steph, we think about the Splash Brothers, we think about Kevin Durant coming in and just the 3-point barrage that they brought to the NBA. This isn't that team, even though they still got Curry. And this Rockets team doesn't have a bunch of shooters. It's a bunch of really athletic drivers of the basketball. And both of these teams in the second half of the season were among the best defenders out there. And so I believe, I don't have the game score in front of me from game 1, but I wanted to say off the top of my head, it was something like 95-87 or something like that.
Way off. 95-85.
Gotcha. I might as well log off.
This is our expert, everybody.
But this is this is going to be electric throughout. I'm really looking forward to seeing. I don't know, in the modern NBA, you can't use the word rock fight a ton, if you can, this would be the series for it, because I think this will be the first of many games where neither team breaks the triple digit mark.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of nailed it. It's no names with Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and unfortunately Draymond Green still around. But I feel like if you're a casual NBA guy, you really haven't heard of Amen Thompson, Alperine Sengun, Jabari Smith, like all these young talents coming from Houston. I know I was shocked to find out that the Houston Rockets had this season. They did, but they have a lot of talent on that team, and it's a good mix. So, I mean, Fred VanVleet, obviously, we know what he's done in the playoffs in the past. Dylan Brooks, whether you like him or hate him, he also has some playoff experience. And then one of my favorites, Steven Adams. So it's a great mix. This is going to be a very exciting series, but the other side has Steph Curry, and it's always tough going against him in the playoffs.
I imagine you guys saw the falling out of bounds shot that Steph threw up, and it's something I wanted to ask you guys about when we got to this series was, what is worse, being a Houston fan and having Golden State do what it's done to you over the course of a decade, or LeBronto? What is worse between LeBron over Toronto and the Raptors, or Curry over the Rockets?
I think, I mean, obviously there's still more to be, explored in this Rockets versus Steph and the Warriors mini rivalry here. But it's LeBronto was another, because you had established veterans like Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, who were like, they weren't in their prime, but they weren't young players. They weren't rising stars. And obviously it's LeBron. I mean, Father Time might not be undefeated yet, because LeBron is still doing it and there's no end in sight. And it kind of felt that way when he was back with Cleveland as well. So I think it's got to be LeBronto. But then again, looking back in hindsight, Toronto ended up with a championship. So it's tough to say that, but where Toronto was as a team during that LeBronto era, I think there's more hope. Looks like there should be more hope for this Houston team than there was for that Toronto team, even though they did end up winning a championship.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, dude. With the Rockets, they had, James Harden, who was like in the conversation
he was averaging 40.
Yeah, like he was in those conversations with guys like KD, Steph, LeBron, but he got his ass handed to him every time they faced off.
It was averaging 40 until it came time to close out the series.
Exactly.
That was certainly not.
I can definitely see both ways, but I think I give the slice edge to being a Rockets fan.
Because the only thing I would say, because I hadn't considered the fact that Toronto did end up getting a title, and it did come after LeBron went west and then got hurt on the Lakers. And so there was no healthy LeBron to face against Toronto. But the one thing I will say about those Rockets teams was they were the closest one to knocking off the KD Warriors, taking them 7, but then missing, as we all know, 27 consecutive 3-pointers in that game 7. But, when you talk about, all-time great teams that never won an NBA championship, that Houston teams were consistently thwarted. But getting back to today, the one thing I'll say that, Curry had a great game, went off as expected. So did Jimmy Butler. If you are a Houston fan, something that's something to be positive about was the fact that Jalen Green was 3 for 15 in that game, and Fred VanVleet was 4 for 19. Those are your second or fourth options, maybe your third or fourth options there for your team. And when you're combining for 7 of what is that, 34, 7 of 34 between those two guys. Sam, you said Fred VanVleet, we know what he can be. If he is what he can be, the Rockets win this game and defend home court. But so there's a lot of upside with this team still yet to be seen. So the Curry dominance over Houston isn't, the book's not shut, I think, Tanner, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, no, it's going to be the story. I mean, we all know Alperen Sengun was very good in this game. Who's going to step up? They need someone to, probably most likely a guard, get someone playing well and scoring the basketball from the guard position. Obviously, that would do wonders for this Houston team to make a push back into the series. I mean, losing game 1 isn't the end of the world, but game 2 for that one will be on Wednesday as well, so you will know what happened in that game by the time this episode airs. But moving on, we'll go to the 3 seed now. We'll go in order that way. Lakers T-Wolves, game 1. T-Wolves waltzed into LA, took game 1 convincingly, and lead the series 1-0.
I have no doubt that even with how convincingly the Timberwolves won, I still have no doubt that this is a series that's going to go 6-7 games, because when you go in and you shoot, 70% from 3, that's not something that's going to be sustainable. But the one thing that will continue to be a problem for the Lakers is the fact that they don't have a big. When you trade Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic, your offense and what it can be, takes another step forward. But they tried to make a trade for I'm blanking on Mark Williams, I think his name is, maybe.
Yeah.
Center from Charlotte. It was probably good that they didn't make that trade because he failed his physical. But it would have given you a big man. Gobert, Randall, Naz Reid. They did what they wanted to do. And whether that's going to be sustainable, that's going to be what determines the series, is rebound, second chances, and shooting 70% from 3 helps. But I expect tonight, right after we get done recording this, LeBron knows what happens if you go down 0-2 in a series. And so I expect to see vintage play out of the 40-year-old tonight. But yeah, the Ant-Man's here, though.
No doubt about it. Let's play a little game. Let's play a fun game. It's called Guess How Many Minutes the Lakers starting center played in game 1.
Oh, God.
How many minutes do you think the Lakers start? So I will tell you, it was Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes started at center for the Lakers. How many minutes did he play? Do you have the stats up? Do you know the answer? So Keegan.
I full transparency, phone locked. I have no idea. I'm gonna guess maybe the fact that you're asking the question, it's low. It's got to be. I'm gonna guess. I mean, but it's a starting player, sure. Did he play 20 minutes?
Yeah, that would be not a lot, right? Yeah, he played 8 minutes. 8 minutes. 8 minutes, and recorded a negative 11 plus minus in those 8 minutes. So, yeah. And if there's a team out there, obviously they offloaded Karl-Anthony Towns, but if there's a team out there that you do not want to have a massive size disadvantage against, it's probably the Minnesota Timberwolves. Centers for days over in Minnesota. And yeah, they get it done in game 1. Game 2 is tonight, as you said, after it's the nightcap on Tuesday. So we'll see. And like you said, seems like that Lakers team is just too talented and have too many veterans to fall down 2-0 in that series. But we will see. And to wrap up the Western Conference talk, we've got the spicy one, the Nuggets and the Clippers. Series tied 1-1. Game 1 goes into overtime. Game 2, a 3-point game. Woo! Talk to me about this one, Keegan. Obviously, a Clippers fan.
Yeah, like you said, big LA Clippers fan. For me, going into the playoffs, there were 2 series that I thought were going to be the closest ones, and it was either, if there was going to be any series to go 7, it was going to be this one, or it was going to be Warriors Rockets. And this has got all the makings to go 7, because when we're talking about what the Nuggets don't do well, they don't have a good defense. That's just what it is. They've lost some of the veteran pieces that made their defense serviceable enough to make the run that they did in 2023. And then you have a James Harden that has not quite prime vintage Harden, but it's close. And then you have a Kawhi Leonard that can still go out and go 15 for 19. At one point last night in that win, he was 12 for 13 from the field. And at one point, he made a 20-footer and his efficiency percentage went down because it was too open of a shot in terms of analytics. I predicted, had you asked me right off the gate, I would have predicted that the Nuggets would have gotten the best of the Clippers, just because it's what the Nuggets have done historically against the Clippers. And I am just not going to bet on Kawhi Leonard's health. That is not something that I'm going to do. That being said, I don't understand how this guy can keep coming back season after season. Takes one season off because he's hurt. He comes back and it's like he never left. If Kawhi Leonard would have been healthy for the course of his career, we'd be talking about a potential top 10 player of all time. And we're seeing that caliber of play tonight or last night. I mean, when we're talking about this series, it's stars. It's everything that you want to see. The best player in the game in Jokic. And when you look at this series, I don't know if there's anything that you could ask for that you're not getting. You're getting everything you could ask for. Who did you guys take in this series?
When I first saw, I was kind of under the same boat. I thought this could go 6-7, but the Nuggets have Nikola Jokic, so it's hard to go against the guy. So that's where my head was when this first got announced. But I mean, seeing Kawhi doing what he does, it sucks. Like, it's awesome to see now, but the fact we haven't seen this dude live, I don't know if I can even say live up to his potential. It's the fact that he just hasn't been playing. Sucks, because when he is healthy, he is a top 10 player. But this series is going to be awesome for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we never made actual predictions, so I guess I didn't really formally make a prediction. I agree with everything everyone was saying. This was the series I locked in on. This series is going to rock. Two teams that are, one does well, the other doesn't do well, and then vice versa. It's a very intriguing matchup, and Kawhi Leonard, obviously, 39 points on 19 shots, and only shooting 5 free throws, by the way, it's pretty special. And I was just looking for a tweet that I found, basically, that was just like, his career is going to be the most confusing to explain to someone, how he's been a top 5 player pretty much most of his career, but right now, he has less career points than Devin Booker, CJ McCollum, Danilo Gallinari, Andrew Wiggins, John Wall, Tobias Harris, Al Jefferson, and Tayshaun Prince. All have more career points than Kawhi Leonard, but he, of course, has the Finals MVP. And Kawhi Leonard is not top 300 in career points, NBA points. Crazy. And it sucks. That's the only way to describe it. It just sucks, because he's just so fun to watch play basketball. So efficient, so fun to watch. Again, 39 points on 5 free throws. That doesn't happen in today's NBA anymore. And he did it.
No, the last type of performance I feel like we saw of this caliber when we're talking about, my mind kind of went back to Klay Thompson's 6 dribble game, where it's just something that's so unheard of. But and talking about some of the other things that makes this series really interesting is that a big piece of the Clippers, because in spite of snagging the 5 seed, Kawhi only played 38 games this season. Kawhi played more games last year. And yeah, like it's insane. He only played 38 games. The Clippers still earned the 5 seed. That's because of how well James Harden played. It's also because Ivica Zubac stepped up big time. And as has been shown on pretty much every ESPN TNT graphic at some point during the broadcast, there has not been a player in the NBA that has guarded Jokic better than Zubac. And like when I say this, you're going to go, yeah, no, dur. But this series comes down to Jokic's aggressiveness on the offensive end, because the reason why the Nuggets aren't 2-0 aren't up 2-0 right now is because he's just there. If he was being more aggressive and going at it, he had 7 turnovers last night, and every single one, it just looked like a haphazard toss. He wasn't locked in the way that you need your star to be. And if he was, they wouldn't be in this situation right now. And you could look to like Jamal Murray hasn't made the leap he's made in previous postseasons, but he hasn't been that guy all regular season. Neither has Michael Porter Jr., neither has Aaron Gordon. This team runs on Jokic, and shocker, the best guy carries it, but he hasn't been the MVP caliber guy here in the playoffs. And is that because of Zubac? We'll see how the series goes, but it might be.
Yeah, I mean, he did have a triple-double last night. I mean, obviously it's Jokic, so that's like, you know, an everyday occurrence with him. But yeah, the 7 turnovers are tough. But yeah, I mean, he is the engine that pushes this team forward. Now they got to go back to LA, and series flips. Clippers have taken home court advantage, and yeah, I expect the games to be just as good in LA. This series should be absolutely awesome. Any final thoughts on the Western Conference?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, the only thing that I'd add is legitimately 7 of these 8 teams could come out of the West, and I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. With that being said, Keegan, you have 5 seconds. I'm going to need who wins the West. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
OKC.
OKC. He's going with the number 1 seed. Sam.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, I want to say
5-second violation.
shit. Man, it'd be the most Steph Curry thing to win it this year. It would be the most Steph Curry thing, but I just don't see how this OKC team loses. So I'm gonna be basic as hell. Follow Keegan. I'm gonna say the Thunder.
I got none to add, boys. I mean, the Thunder just look like they're on a completely different level. You talk about the storylines. Obviously, it would be the most Steph thing to win it this year. It would be the most NBA thing ever to do everything in their power to get the Lakers to the finals. Even though obviously they didn't look great in Game 1 against Minnesota, but telling me that the higher ups aren't salivating at a Lakers finals appearance with Luka and LeBron on that team. So
yeah, and I mean,
you always got to factor that in. But Oklahoma City is the best team in the West. They've shown it all year long, and I just think there's a level of like you said, there's just a level of been there, done that with this team. They're not phased by the moment, and they can lock in and just be like, hey, we don't give a crap about any of that stuff. We're just here to win basketball games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the only weakness that Oklahoma City has is that their 3-point shooting is okay. Like that's that's their weakness. Their
Mhm.
3-point shooters are, like J-Dub's all right, Chet's all right. Caruso has been all right this year. Like he hasn't been the same guy that he was in previous years. But when I say all right, these are 38, 37% shooters from three. Not great, not but no, that's their biggest weakness. they
Right.
they rebound, they defend. It's them or yeah, it would need to be some sort of superstar like a Steph or a Jokic just going supernova. But yeah, it's Thunder and nothing out of the West.
Yeah, and they're currently up 19 on the Grizzlies in game 2. So seems like we're heading for more domination there. Now let's head on over to the other side of the country. We'll start with the Eastern Conference. At the top of the bracket here, 1 seed Cavs. They're taking on the 8 seed Miami Heat. Won game 1 pretty handily. I believe it was 121-100 win for the Cavs. Game 2 will be Wednesday. Talk to me about this.
I think that when we're just wrapping up talking about the Thunder, there are two teams in the NBA that I feel like can match up against the Thunder. And both of these teams are from the East, and Cleveland is one of them. And unfortunately for Miami, there's no amount of Heat culture that can keep you in against these Cavs. Everything that you could want, they have. We talked about 3-point shooting with the Thunder. That's something that the Cavs do incredibly well. And then they also got Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. So good luck driving on this team. This is similar to the 1-8 matchup over here in the West that we're watching right now. Miami is just congrats for getting out of the play-in, guys. Whether that should exist in the East is a question. But we'll see you later. There's going to be Cavs in 4, just like Thunder in 4. And maybe another series we'll talk about later.
Yeah, it's like the 37-45 Heat shouldn't be playing.
Is it really that? It's that bad?
37-45.
It's that bad. It's that bad. Yeah. But I got to give some love to my guy, Ty Jerome, Iona Prep legend, New Rochelle, New York. 28 off the bench. What an absolute beast in game 1. You mentioned it. They got shooters. They got a bona fide star who can get you a bucket at any time. They got height. They got athleticism. They got depth. This is a damn good basketball team. That will have no issue with the, again, 37-45 Miami Heat. But moving on here, we'll talk about the 2 seed Boston Celtics. They, of course, match up against the Magic. Boston took care of business in game 1. They hold a 1-0 lead in that series. This may shock you. Game 2 will be on Wednesday, as is the case with like every single series we talk about. But talk to me about this one, Keegan.
Yeah, this is the other team. You got Cleveland that can match up against OKC, and you got Boston that could do it as well. The defending champs. Who would have thought? I wouldn't be shocked if we saw like a Paolo Banchero game where he just pops off and he can lead them. If the 6 stars for Boston all have an off night, then maybe Orlando could steal a game. But I feel like we, in terms of analyzing this matchup, similarly, like everything that you said with Cleveland, Boston does that as well. But because I mean, their 6th best player is either like Derek White or Kristaps Porzingis. Like who is the 6th man for?
Real quick, Keegan. I do want to hop into that because obviously mentioned the amount of stars Boston has and how I will never understand the Milwaukee Bucks trading Drew Holiday for Damian Lillard, trade away a winner for a bona fide loser. That is a crazy trade to me. But the Celtics, obviously, an incredible basketball team. Game 1, you told the Orlando Magic, hey, the Boston Celtics leading scorer in Game 1 will be Derek White, and their second leading scorer will be Peyton Pritchard. I think you'd sign up for that. Peyton Pritchard had 19, Derek White had 30, and he lost by 60.
I didn't realize that Peyton Pritchard had that much off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, it's 19 on 8 shots. They just have so many guys. I believe Tatum he's dealing with some sort of injury. Is that right?
Yeah, it's relatively minor because it's his wrist. Yeah, because he's doubtful to play for tomorrow night. But what?
Oh well.
It's like and I said Paulo needs to pop off. He had 36.
He did. He had 36.
Like it did come on 27 shots. It wasn't a particularly efficient outing.
But Corey Joseph is another star for the Magic. Come on, Keith.
He shot over 50%. I mean, it was 27 shots, but he shot over 50%.
Yeah,
it wasn't like not efficient.
Mm-hmm.
But
the Magic only had 2 scorers in double digits.
Yeah, and and they had a combined negative 19 plus minus. So it's tough. It's tough for the Magic. Seems like this series is done and dusted already.
Yeah, of the 3, champion favorites, I think this might be the one that might drop a game. But it feels incredibly unlikely. Yeah, we're gonna get a few sweeps, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But we'll move on to the next series, the 3 seed. Not a good spot. Let's just say that. Not a good spot. The Knicks, they're tied 1-1 going back to Detroit. I mentioned before, should be down 2-0. Not a good start to the postseason for the Knicks. Talk to me, Mr. Keegan.
I was about to. I think I might turn the tables back to you, my friend. I mean, we all know the Knicks fan. How are you feeling about those 5 first-round picks going out for Bridges at the moment? Because I guess he did well in this one, but the Cat completely disappearing in the second half of that last game. He didn't score a point. He didn't put in a single bucket in the second half of game 2. With the pieces that you move for him, granted, playoff reliability, Julius Randle. Turns out you got another one in return. But the Knicks should feel lucky that it is 1-1 going there. But I'm more interested in what your thoughts are of where's your headspace at?
Yeah, I mean it's not great. I agree. I need more out of Karl-Anthony Towns. Not scoring a bucket in the second half. And Mikal Bridges didn't score in the fourth quarter. So the 2 of them did not score in the fourth quarter. Towns longer than that. Brunson can't do it alone. He just can't. He needs help. And right now it is not coming. I mean, OG 4 for 10, Bridges 8 for 18, Towns 5 for 11, Hart 2 for 6. All of them shot under 50%. That's not good. And Brunson, obviously, he had the 37. He was 12 for 27 as well. So that's under 50%. All starters shooting under 50%. It's not a deep team. It's a Tibbs team. You know that. They're not going to play the bench. The starters just need more. And, that run in game 1, it was awesome. And you can see how good this team can be when they're playing well. But, they're not playing well right now. The offensively has been incredibly inefficient. And you look at the other side, Cade Cunningham has been getting his. Like, that dude's a good basketball player, and they need to be better at playing defense without fouling, and forcing Cade to earn his points not at the free throw line. Obviously, the same can be said about Brunson. I'm not really going to get into that, but it's getting kind of annoying from a Knicks fan's perspective. I can imagine the rest of the league's perspective. It's just a frustrating start because I know how good this team can be. And they're just not playing well right now and not being efficient. And with all that said, it's 1-1. It's lucky to be 1-1, but it still is 1-1. And it's not like this series is over by any means. But yeah, it's not been an encouraging start.
Yeah. You mentioned Cade Cunningham. He's been the guy for a lot longer than this. He's been an absolute killer. So I'm finally excited to see him in let's put it how it is. Games that matter in the grand scheme of things. He's putting an absolute clinic. But he can't do it by himself. Tim Hardaway played god awful in game one. He shot like 0 for 8, I want to say. But Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, two names out some casuals might not be familiar with, but they're making a name for themselves in this series so far.
Oh, yeah. And I was just going to say, talking about the Pistons, you got to shout out to Tobias Harris. I mean, I thought that when this guy got shipped out to Detroit, I thought it was, I saw a bunch of jokes about how he was getting banished, by finding a spot up there. It's like, okay, that's as close as you can get to the G League without being there.
Yeah.
But no, he's came out and he was their best player in game one, where, the entire team forgot how to play basketball in the fourth quarter there. But this is a guy that's come out and giving you two relatively efficient performances. I mean, I feel like if you're a Sixers fan, you got to be punching air right now.
That's the silver lining there is right now, is the fact that this guy leaves that rat shithole of a city in Philly and gets a lot better at basketball. That's the silver lining here. Yeah, that's the only thing I can look at positively here for sure.
I kind of randomly threw that out there, but I mean, when you think about it, James Harden leaves there and he's gotten better year after year from leaving. Tobias Harris, you chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler, and he's been what he's been. And then you go all in on Paul George, and he's too busy podcasting. But wait, he said halfway through the season he was putting down the podcast so he can make a championship run. So just wait for next year. Just wait for next year, Philly.
What a sacrifice.
But back to this series, do you feel like this?
Hashtag thank you, PG, for putting down the podcast
equipment. Thank you, Podcast P.
Yeah.
Thank you for not being on my team.
Yeah. I mean, that's
appreciate you.
That's a shame to see for the 76ers fans. Really tough. Was rooting for him. Really was. But going back to the Pistons, I do want to talk about this team a little bit because I'm very impressed. Again, haven't been impressed with the Knicks. I wasn't impressed with the Knicks in game one. But we can see this happening, right? Undoubtedly, the Knicks are a better team. They come back and win a game they probably shouldn't have in game one at home. You can see a young team kind of start to spiral and not really have their best stuff the next game. But I was really impressed with the resiliency of the Detroit Pistons. Again, a really young team. So I do want to give them their flowers there. And specifically, I really like the play. I mean, obviously, Cade, we mentioned Tobias. I'm really impressed with Jalen Duren, the young center. I mean, this is a physical Detroit Pistons basketball team. And if there's one knock on Karl-Anthony Towns, he's obviously a really good player, really good center. He's not the most physical center in the league. And the Pistons have really exploited that, playing bully ball in the lane for sure and getting points that way. So I've been impressed with the Pistons, man.
Of all the series, and I'm glad you brought up physicality, because of all the series in the East, this was the round one that I wanted to see the most, just because of that. Because every Tibbs team is going to bring that. There's going to be a level of physicality there. And that's also what Detroit does. Like and I was bringing this back to the Knicks. I was wanting to ask you, this last offseason, defense has been what's carried this franchise for, under Tibbs. And you trade some of that defense away, and you trade away some future first round picks, and you try and bring in guys that are going to elevate that offense, knowing that when you have a mind like Tibbs, your defense is going to be all right. But all year long, that offense just hasn't taken that leap forward that you thought it might have. Is this is going to be the question this offseason, because I don't think at the beginning of the season, I thought this team could, but it can't compete with the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Is this the limit for Tom Thibodeau?
This is a question that I dread being asked, to be honest, because Tom Thibodeau, and I've said this before, he holds such a weird spot because he took over from David Fizdale, and that era of Knicks basketball, it was an absolute joke. And this current era of Knicks basketball, a lot of it is owed to Tom Thibodeau. He wins basketball games. You can say what you want about that guy. He wins basketball games. And I appreciate that out of Tom Thibodeau. But you can't shy away from the questions. I mean, last year, the team that was really poised to make a run, they all got injured playing 40 minutes a game every day, essentially. This year, the offense has struggled. Again, there's still a real lack of depth and not much coming from the bench. That's a problem. And the trades, cutting into that defensive mindset, as you said, also cutting into that depth. I mean, Dante DiVincenzo is such a good depth piece. Get him in there. Someone can come off the bench, play some perimeter defense, knock down shots. Obviously, you trade that away. That was supposed to be what Mikal Bridges was this year. Hasn't really shown the efficiency offensively that we'd expect on a consistent basis. So the Tibbs relationship is really tough. I don't think to be honest, it's going to take a lot for me to straight up call for Tibbs' job just because of everything I said. But the fact of the matter is, this is a really talented basketball team. And at this point, if they lose this series, or if they're able to win this in 7 and then get the doors blown off of them by Boston next round, that's a failure. That is a failure. And if they keep playing like this, they might not beat Detroit, and if they do, Boston will wipe the floor with this team right now. So that would be a failure, and you have to ask those questions for sure.
Mm-hmm. Everybody knows that playoff basketball gets tougher. I was just wondering this, and so I went to look. Outside of Jalen Brunson, because we haven't mentioned him at all. I mean, what is there? Like, absolute dog. There's nothing you can't say about him. But everybody else, every single player on this roster, maybe outside of Campaign. Cameron Payne is the only player on this Knicks roster to elevate their scoring average from the regular season to the postseason. Everybody else has taken a dip.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think you said this at the start, the Knicks are the best team in this series. They're just not playing like it.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's going to be. The more physical team's going to get done, and that's Detroit.
Yeah. And I would like to revise that statement, by the way, with the Campaign. He elevated his level of play for game 1. He played huge in game 1. He had 14 minutes.
Yeah.
Game 2, goose egg. 0 points for Campaign. Did not play a lot of minutes. Obviously, leaning with Brunson heavy. The backup to Brunson on a Tibbs team is not going to get a ton of minutes, but he was huge in game 1. Didn't show up in game 2, and that's why we're here. So
for what it's worth, it went up from and for what it's worth, it went up from 6.9 to 7.
Yeah, exactly.
So
hell yeah.
And again, that's game one. But yeah, it's not been a great start to the postseason. That is for sure. But the last series over in the East, the 4-5, we got the Bucks and the Pacers. Indiana with the 1-0 series lead, currently up 81-65, so a 16-point lead for the Pacers in game 2, looking to take a 2-0 lead over the Bucks. Oh boy. I'll just say that.
Yeah, this is the NBA TV series. And when they play again on Thursday, you can also, or actually it's on Friday, sorry. When they play on Friday, it's on ESPNU. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched that channel for like I watch college basketball over there, but professional.
It's ESPNU. That's ESPNU. ESPN University, the college channel that is carrying.
Dude, just put on ESPN Plus at that point. Good lord.
At least make a little coin off it, right? I mean,
do the Iowa State basketball route, and it's like that's something I never understood. Yeah, top 15 Cyclones team, but stick them on ESPN Plus.
Yeah,
but even Disney Plus, make it a Disney edition, like dude. That's tough.
Yeah, I don't know what the Big 12 was thinking, or I guess I don't know if it's ESPN or the Big, whatever it was. That's a rough route to go. But anyway, like back to this. Yeah, it's the NBA TV. It's the ESPNU. Who cares, man? I mean, like the Bucks, man, they went from winning a championship to just being so irrelevant. It seems like, and it happened as soon as they traded for Damian Lillard. And that puts a smile to my face.
There are a few mind-boggling decisions that this franchise made. First is you get rid of Mike Budenholzer, who was the coach. And I'll say this was that was a firing that I was calling for personally. I thought that there was better coaches out there, and I still think that I was right in that. But bringing in Doc Rivers is never the answer. There's not a single person out there, maybe outside of Kendrick Perkins, that has been carried so much by a championship than Doc Rivers and the 2008 Celtics.
That's rude. What a stray. That was rude.
Trudeau.
But it's like bringing in Doc Rivers, getting rid of Drew Holiday, a bona fide dog, and like it was something on paper that made sense. Why wouldn't you want to have a pick and roll partner in Dame? But they just don't run the pick and roll. I don't understand why they don't. You have a perfect lob partner in Giannis, and that's just a guy that, and Dame's injury doesn't help for sure. Coming off of that, he's having his first game back since early March, I believe. He's playing right now. He's had an all right performance so far, 3 of 8. He's got 11 points. It's a whatever performance so far, but I just feel awful for Giannis. Kyle Kuzma went out and gave his best
Tony Snell impression.
Yes.
The new meme is Kyle Kuzma. Thank you for your service, Tony Snell. It was fun.
We can retire.
Exactly.
We can retire it.
Oh.
Put Snell's number up in the rafters, a big old 0. But this is a guy. I mean, Giannis deserves better. And it's sad to see him waste away on this franchise that just has done every decision that they can to make this team worse somehow. And
Yeah,
just disappointing.
I the only thing I'll say is that at no point did I ever think trading Drew Holiday for Damian Lillard was a good idea. They are polar opposites in their DNA. Drew Holiday, obviously Dame, whatever, he had his 1,000,000-point games in Portland. Damian Lillard is unreliable. He is selfish, and he is not a winner. And Drew Holiday is the opposite of all three of those things, in my opinion. If Damian Lillard has 0 haters in this world, I have died. If Drew Holiday has 0 supporters in this world, I also have died. I could not feel more opposite about these two players than I do, and I just can't fathom making that trade. But that is besides the point. You mentioned every decision has been the wrong one, and Giannis has to be incredibly frustrated with the way things are going.
Mm-hmm. And the I'm trying to find this briefly, but just the season that Giannis has had. I was seeing 2018 LeBron James comparisons with the type of season that he had. I'm not finding this particular tweet, unfortunately.
I guess this
is
regular season he averaged 30 and 12.
It's not bad.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was 30, 12, and 7, I believe. He was nearly top 10 in assists, which I mean is just unheard of for what his game used to be. And the reason why he's needed to be a facilitator more is because you trade a guy in Drew Holiday that you could rely on him. But say talking about the Pacers a little bit more. This was kind of this was a team that to start the regular season. I wish I had the record. This was a series I kind of I wish I had some of these numbers in front of me. But they started out kind of. What was that? They finished
the regular season 50 and 32.
And they had a great second half of the season to get to that point. I believe they were potentially around the All-Star break. They're kind of like play-in bound is where they were around. But Tyrese Haliburton was just it looked like he had regressed from what he looked like last year. But these are both two teams that Indiana, you wanted to see if they could take a step forward from their conference finals run last year. And then Milwaukee, it's like, okay, this is another, you're running it back. Let's see. You trade Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma. Let's see how that goes. And both these franchises just fail to take the leap forward that you're hoping to see. And so whoever comes out of this is getting their ass beat by Cleveland. But it's probably going to be Indiana since they're about to go up 2-0. I'd like to see Giannis outside of Milwaukee next year.
Yeah, and that's kind of my takeaway too. Is like I'm sorry, Pacers fans. I don't like. There's not much to take away from me in Indiana in this series. It's just the entire thing is what's going on with the Bucks. They have too much talent. They to lose this series and do so rather lifelessly. And Indiana, they're a fine to good basketball team. And if they win this series, I don't think they have a chance against Cleveland. That's pretty much the moral of the story, at least for me.
Yeah, I do want to shout out Pascal Siakam though. When Tyrese Haliburton was nowhere to be found, he stepped up big time. 10 for 15, finished with 25. I think that is a performance we should highlight in this ass whooping.
Sure.
But the fact Tyrese Haliburton and Miles Turner really didn't play to their level and they're still beating the shit out of this team. I think the message is we all feel bad for Giannis and he deserves a lot better.
Yep. No doubt about it. But, obviously seems like there are some dominant teams here in the East. Obviously, you mentioned those three favorites in the Cavs, the Celtics, and then over in the West, the Thunder. Both all of which have been impressive in the early stages of this postseason for sure. But Keegan, I'm gonna ask the same thing. 5 seconds. Who is making it out of the East?
Boston.
Boston again. Boston versus OKC in the final, Sam.
I'm riding with the Celtics, man. They are just so damn good. And I know the Cavs have had a historical season like the Thunder that no one, I feel like, is talking about, probably because they aren't the Celtics, Lakers, or Warriors, but that's a conversation for another day. But I mean, I just think the Celtics have the experience. I think they just have the better overall talent. But the thing that might give the Cavs the edge is their height. I mean, I don't think the Celtics have a good, like, Kristaps and Al Horford are there too, but I'm taking I don't know if I am, but I'm taking Mobley, and I think I'm taking the Cavs bigs over them too, but they also have Drew Holiday, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, Jason Taylor. Like, they have talent everywhere you look. So I hope that matchup ends up happening, but I think the Celtics, just with their experience, is going to win out.
Tell you what, boys, we can't have the same finals, all of us. So I'll go with the Cavs. Screw it. You know, Donovan Mitchell's my dog. Should have won Rookie of the Year all those years ago. And I'm gonna ride with the Cavs. So I'll go with the 1 seeds. Cavs.
Thanks for saving the graphic.
Yeah, of course. That's my duty here. But
don't talk trash about Clippers legend, rightful Rookie of the Year, Ben Simmons.
I will talk all the trash I want about that guy.
I was just going to say, Sam, I completely agree with your analysis there, where I like the Cleveland's bigs better. If Cleveland is going to beat Boston, it's going to be because Boston can't finish inside on the Cavs defense. But just the amount of wing defenders that Boston's going to be able to throw at Donovan Mitchell, it's going to need to be a bubble type performance out of him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But you've got Thunder versus Celtics. You also have Thunder versus Celtics. Who's your champion? And MVP.
Ooh. I think it's going to be the anomaly grabbing one. I think he gets his finals MVP and the Boston Celtics go back to back.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
No, I got Cavs Thunder. Give me the Thunder. Shea's the MVP.
I love it.
And I'll roll with that. And you.
When was the last?
What?
When was the last time someone went championship, finals MVP, MVP?
So essentially, because finals MVP and championship is. So
that's true.
MVP and MVP and finals MVP. I don't know,
because that's a quick little Google search right there.
Yeah.
Outside of Jerry West, every finals MVP went to the champion.
Only 8 players have ever done it.
Did Jokic do it in 23?
Oh, full disclosure, when I Googled it,
that was Embiid.
Full disclosure, the first source that came up when I Googled it was Reddit, so I don't know how accurate this information is.
The last one was in 2013.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm seeing here.
LeBron James. Who would have thought?
And LeBron did it back-to-back in 12 and 13.
You need back-to-back.
Before that, Tim Duncan in 03. Before that, Shaq in 2000.
How crazy is it that LeBron's tenure on the Lakers is nearly double his tenure on the Heat in terms of years?
Doesn't feel real, man.
That's
It
crazy.
doesn't
He
feel.
was only in Miami for 4 years.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's weird because like you asked me how long was he in Miami, I'd be like, oh yeah, he was only there for 4 years. But like it felt like an eternity because that team was just so damn good and like so fun to hate that
Yeah.
it felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
One stat I want to kind of end on here, unless you got something else up your sleeve. Earlier this season for the NBA, there's kind of that conversation of uh, is professional basketball kind of curtains. We had been talking about viewership continuing to go down year in, year out for the regular season. According to the NBA, this opening weekend was the most watched opening weekend in 25 years
Wow.
and up nearly 20% in viewership from last year.
Wow.
So did Luka to the Lakers save the league?
Some are saying.
Some are saying.
No, not me.
Not
Some
us.
Not us.
Not us. But yeah, I mean that is definitely a conversation worth having. Look, and honestly, it's the series I'm most interested in, obviously Knicks Pistons, I think is suffering hard from this right now. It's just I'm so sick of fouls. I'm so sick of players playing for fouls. I'm so sick of players baiting for fouls. I'm so sick of every possession having to go to the free throw line, stop the game. And I'm so sick of players who are clearly trying to bait for fouls when they don't get the call, just like stop playing to argue with the refs. And I'm so frustrated with that. Obviously, it's happened a lot. I mean, a lot of conversation on Jalen Brunson with that. This is the first time actually I've kind of really been frustrated with it, been like, dude, stop. As a Knicks fan, but it just really makes it a tough watch. It really does, and I do think some of the Pistons players have done it as well. Obviously, everybody's got it happens all across the league, but to me, that's the thing that's got to be fixed before all else.
Mm-hmm. And I think something to that end, and I think this could be a part in why we've seen this ratings bump so significantly for the playoffs is the fact that playoff officiating, it should be what it is over the course of the regular season. You shouldn't have this gap in because I can tell you firsthand from watching just last night's Clippers Nuggets game, there were a number of drives for both teams where I've watched enough regular season NBA ball to be like, oh, okay, yep, that's a foul. Let me take a drink out of my cup. Whoa, no, they didn't call a foul there. Like there's just a complete shift where the officials just magically let players be more physical in the playoffs, and you see a dip in. I believe there's like we're seeing like 5 fouls fewer per game in the playoffs so far compared to the regular season. And that's helping pace of play. It's making it more entertaining. Why isn't it that just period in
The
general?
standard
And
for basketball.
it
Yeah.
needs to go farther.
Yeah. No, that's a great question for sure. But as much as I've had criticisms about the product of the NBA, the playoffs do seem to deliver year in and year out. So that will be some to watch for sure. But anything to wrap up these playoffs, man. It was awesome having you back on talking some ball.
Yeah, it was great to be back on. And I feel like we got, I feel like we got 4 really good series here that all have the possibility of going 7. And it's only going to get better as it goes on. So I'm really looking forward to this postseason. What would you guys have if you had to choose one dark horse team to make a run? Who would that be?
I think I'm going to go with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously, the West is so crowded, and it's tough to do that. But like obviously, Anthony Edwards is as big a star as there is in the league. They've added shooting. DiVincenzo, what he did with the Knicks last year in the playoffs, like he steps up in the playoffs. Obviously, Randall is his own thing, but kind of being if he can be off to the side, like kind of like what he was to Brunson, he played better that way. But yeah, the Timberwolves, man, like this is a pretty good basketball team. Looked good in game one in LA. Added shooting, added defense. Like I like this team a lot. So I think the Timberwolves can go on a run.
Yeah, I'm as crazy. I'm kind of looking at two teams here. I don't know if you can consider a 2 seed to be a dark horse, but when you're facing Steph, I've always liked this Rockets team and what they build. I've been a huge fan of Jalen Green. But if y'all are not accepting that as an answer, I am gonna go the Pistons. I have been a fan of Cade Cunningham since his high school days, and seeing him finally get the limelight. It sometimes it just takes one player to get hot, and I think Cade Cunningham can be that guy. Not only does he put the ball in the basket, he makes plays for others. So those are two crazy ones, but it would be super cool seeing that for sure.
I disagree.
It's like the Knicks fan doesn't want the Pistons to make a run.
Who would have thought?
But, I'm really looking forward to seeing playoff games back in Detroit. First time in 17 years. I don't know if you guys saw that there'll be a playoff game in Detroit.
I got OG and Obi in the stands by the second quarter. Malice at the Palace, Barton.
Bring it back. It's like the Little Caesars is about to pop off up there. I'm gonna go Homer here. I think a healthy Kawhi means that the Clippers can win an NBA championship. This was a team that was projected by many to miss the playoffs entirely at the start of the year. Who knew when Kawhi was going to come back? James Harden had coming off the two worst seasons of his career, and Paul George was traded away. The second best player was Norman Powell. What?
Sorry, I'm just highlighting how you said James Harden's coming off the worst seasons of his career, and I said in Philly.
In Philly. And PG was sent to Philly. And picking up where he left off. But I mean, if the crazy thing about the Clippers is the fact that the role players are what got the Clippers to where they are in terms of seeding, and they have not played well at all during this postseason. Part of that's being in Denver, Mile High, on the road. I can't wait to see this team back home, and it's not a team that the Thunder want to face.
Bring the smoke. You want the smoke? I'll give you the smoke, Keeks. Let's go, baby.
Give me my picks back, bitch.
Dude, I kind of hope y'all do, because
the storyline's gonna be crazy.
Because then it's Russ versus current day Thunder, and that's just gonna tear me apart, you know? God love Russ. But yeah.
Russ is on the
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I hope the Clippers win, so I don't have that matchup.
And then you have Shea versus the Clippers.
Yeah. Yep. Then it's on. Yeah.
Then it's on your end there.
And like the 18 picks they gave us.
and I get James Harden playing against the Thunder. I know that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I forgot.
It's like 5 teams ago. Yeah, I can remember that. Jeez.
I'm trying to think. Are there any? Because no matter what, because you got Russ. If the Nuggets win, you got Russ, and then the MVP conversation there is going to be crazy. No matter who comes out of the 4-5, that's going to be a great second round matchup.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
Should be.
Yeah,
Should be. Well,
Fingers
thanks so
crossed.
much, man, for coming back on. We really appreciate it. The rule is if the Clippers and the Thunder face off in the second round, you got to come back on to talk that series. That's a rule. I just made it up, but now you're legally bound to. So sorry. But thanks again, man.
Rules
we
are the
really
rules.
appreciate you coming on and talking some ball.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And yeah, rules are the rules. I don't make them, but I'm a law abider. I guess I'll have to.
Sounds good, man. Talk to you later. Huge shout out to Keegan Turnbough for coming back on the pod, talk a little bit of NBA basketball. Anything else before we wrap up, Sam?
No, Thunder up. That's all I gotta say.
Thunder up. I'm absolutely praying for a Thunder Clippers round 2. That would be electric here on the pod. But that's going to do it for today's episode. We talked about a lot, kind of a longer NBA breakdown with Keegan, of course, the former co-host of this show. Also, talked a little bit about stuff going on the baseball diamond with some winners and losers. A bunch of it was an action-packed episode for sure. But make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at crunchtime_pod. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube Crunch Time with the N3260. But the clock has run out on this episode, and we'll see you in the next one on Crunch Time.
Yeah.